Welcome, deep divers. Ever been there? You have the perfect word, your grammar's spot on, but when you actually speak, it just doesn't quite land right.
Hmm.
Or maybe you feel like you're wrestling with your own tongue trying to make a specific sound.
Yeah, that's a common feeling.
Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that. It's the often underestimated power of accent and pronunciation
It
practice.
really is key.
We're going to unpack why focusing on those, deceptively tricky sounds and the subtle art of word stress can be such a game changer for your clarity and your confidence, too.
Absolutely.
Now, for this deep dive, we've zeroed in on a really great resource we found. Learning English, episode 62. It's from the YouTube channel Learn and Success, and it's all about this specific area.
A very useful find.
Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is, well, it goes beyond just sounding native. It's about how pronunciation seriously impacts how fluent people think you are, even how smart they might think you are.
Really? Is there research on that?
Yeah, actually. Studies show that if someone struggles to understand your sounds, or maybe the rhythm of your speech, they might subconsciously, rate your grammar as weaker than it is.
Wow, even if the grammar itself is perfect.
Exactly, even if it's flawless.
Yeah.
So mastering things like those tricky sounds and getting the word stress right isn't just about being clearer.
Okay.
It's about making sure all your knowledge, your competence, actually comes across. It empowers you, lets you engage without those subtle, often subconscious barriers that mispronunciation can put up.
That's a really powerful point. It's not just what you say, but how it lands, how it's received.
Precisely.
And that leads us nicely into our first area, those tricky sounds. Now, anyone who's learned another language, you've definitely
Yeah.
hit these. Those sounds that just feel, wow, weird?
Alien sometimes.
Yeah. So why are some sounds just inherently difficult for non-native speakers? Is it just needing more practice, or is there something, deeper going on?
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
But there's a big linguistic factor. It's something we call phonological interference.
Okay, phonological interference.
Essentially, your brain is hardwired for the sounds of your native language. You develop this sort of articulatory muscle memory.
Right, your mouth knows how to make your sounds.
Exactly. So when you meet a sound in a new language that just doesn't exist in your first one, or maybe it exists but it's made slightly differently, well, your tongue, your lips, your jaw, they just aren't used to making those specific movements.
Ah, so it's literally like teaching your mouth new tricks, a new dance, like you said.
It is. Think about the sounds in English, like in think or this.
Yeah, notoriously tricky for many learners.
Right. So for maybe a Spanish speaker, their language uses sounds like teeth and dude made right at the teeth. Producing that English "thee," where the tongue kind of pokes out slightly between the teeth, that's physically unfamiliar.
So they might swap it out.
Often, yes. They might substitute it with something closer like an F or a cho.
Yeah.
So think might come out sounding a bit like fink or dink.
I
Or another example, for many Japanese speakers, telling the difference between English R and L sounds can be incredibly hard.
Right, because their language has a sound that's sort of in between.
Exactly. So light and right might sound almost identical to them. And these aren't just, tiny little errors. They can actually cause real confusion.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, brilliant guy, an engineer from Germany. He always struggled with the W and V sounds in English.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one.
He'd say, very well, instead of very well. And it really bothered him, despite being otherwise totally fluent. Knew the grammar, huge vocabulary. But that one tricky sound often made him feel, well, less confident.
And that's exactly the implication we were talking about. Mispronouncing these specific tricky sounds can really hit your clarity and, like you said, your confidence.
Yeah.
You could be explaining really complex ideas, but if the listener has to constantly stop and sort of decode individual words because the sounds aren't quite right, it creates friction.
Makes it harder work for them.
Yeah, it's like trying to read a perfectly written book, but there are a few smudged letters on every single page. You can do it, but it slows you down.
That's a good analogy.
So the real nugget of knowledge here, the key thing, is that instead of trying to perfect absolutely every single sound, which is overwhelming.
Right.
Understanding which specific sounds are typically tricky for speakers with your native language background allows for really targeted, really efficient learning.
Focus your effort.
Exactly. It stops you wasting time on sounds you probably already make perfectly well and lets you put your energy into the areas that'll make the biggest difference. That's why resources that specifically call out these tricky sounds, like that Learn and Success episode, are so valuable. They give you that focus guidance, maybe drills, explanations for those specific challenges.
So it's not just practice more, it's practice smarter, focusing on the right things. Recognizing those specific hurdles is step one. Okay, and speaking of things that are often overlooked but super powerful, that brings us to word stress. Now, this isn't about how loud you talk.
No, not at all.
It's about the emphasis, right? Which part of a longer word gets the punch? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, word stress is, well, it's way more than just a little detail for sounding natural. It's actually fundamental to meaning, to rhythm, and just general understanding in English.
Fundamental, how so?
Well, unlike lots of languages, think Spanish or French maybe, which are more syllable timed, where each syllable gets roughly the same amount of time and emphasis.
Okay.
English is stress timed. This means certain syllables get stressed. They're longer, louder, maybe higher pitch, while others get reduced, squashed down almost.
Okay. That creates a kind of rhythm.
Exactly. A very distinctive rhythm. And when you get the word stress wrong, it completely messes up that rhythm. Yeah. It can make your speech sound, well, a bit unnatural, maybe even robotic. And crucially, it makes it much harder for a native speaker to process what you're saying.
I think I've heard that getting the stress wrong can even change the actual meaning of a word sometimes. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of how important it is. Take the word present, P-R-E-S-E-N-T.
Okay.
If you stress the first syllable, present, you're talking about a noun, like a gift or the present moment.
Right, a gift.
But if you stress the second syllable, present, it becomes a verb, to give something or to introduce someone.
Present. Totally different.
Completely different meaning, just from shifting the stress. Imagine the confusion. Another classic one is dessert, the dry, sandy place.
Like dessert.
Versus dessert, the yummy thing you eat after dinner.
Oh, wow. Yes. You definitely wouldn't want to mix those up when ordering food.
You really wouldn't. So you see, it's not just about sounding a little off. It can directly cause misunderstandings, just like getting those tricky sounds wrong.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and beyond just changing the meaning of individual words, getting the stress wrong also messes up the natural flow, the prosody of English sentences.
Prosody. The melody of speech.
Kind of, yeah. Listeners, native speakers especially, unconsciously rely on these stress patterns to chunk information and understand sentences quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When the stress pattern is unpredictable or wrong, their brain has to work harder.
Slows them down.
It slows down their comprehension, and it can make you seem less fluent than you actually are, even if your vocabulary and grammar are great. And interestingly, this isn't just about your speaking.
Oh.
As you train yourself to produce the correct word stress, you also sharpen your ear for hearing it. So it actually improves your listening comprehension too. You start noticing those rhythms in native speech much more easily.
So it works both ways. Helps you speak clearly and understand better.
Exactly. So putting focused pronunciation practice specifically onto word stress isn't just about, polishing your accent. It's a really powerful shortcut to improving how well people understand you, how natural you sound, and even how well you understand them. It just adds so much clarity.
It removes that ambiguity.
Precisely. And that's why resources like the Learn and Success episode we're talking about that specifically cover word stress as part of accent and pronunciation practice are so incredibly valuable. They tackle these subtle but really high impact elements. They often give you drills, techniques to really internalize these patterns.
It really feels like finding a secret key, doesn't it? Just knowing that zeroing in on these specific things, those tricky sounds that always trip you up, And the subtle power of word stress can unlock so much progress.
It really can.
And that's why finding material like the accent and pronunciation practice content from Learn and Success, especially their Learning English episode 62, is just such a direct and efficient way to get better. It cuts through all the general language learning noise and really focuses on what makes a tangible difference in clear, confident communication.
Absolutely right. In today's world, there's just so much information out there, countless language learning resources. It can be overwhelming.
Totally. Where do you even start?
Exactly. So the truly valuable resources are the ones that manage to distill these complex topics, like pronunciation, into actionable, really targeted practice.
Makes sense.
And that Learn and Success YouTube episode, because it specifically focuses on tricky sounds and word stress, offers precisely that kind of guided, efficient learning. It's not just telling you about these things.
It gives you things to do.
Yeah, most likely it provides practical exercises. So for tricky sounds, that might mean things like minimal pair practice. Listening to and saying pairs like ship versus sheep.
Right, to train your ear for the difference.
And train your mouth to make the difference. And for word stress, maybe it includes shadowing exercises, where you try to mimic a native speaker's intonation exactly.
Like copying the music of their speech.
Exactly. Or maybe rhythm drills that help you feel that natural beat of English words and sentences. The point is, it's not about drowning you in everything at once. It's about giving you the specific tools to work smarter, not just harder, on your pronunciation. It gives you a clear roadmap, really, to achieving greater clarity and ultimately more confidence.
So what does this all mean for you, our dedicated deep diver listening right now? Well, it means that putting focused effort into accent and pronunciation practice, especially on those specific high-impact areas like tricky sounds and word stress, it holds really transformative power for your language journey.
It really does.
It's about that targeted effort giving you exponential results, not just in how you sound, but in how effectively you actually connect with other people.
Yeah.
And it just highlights how valuable it is to seek out resources that don't just teach generally, but really pinpoint these critical areas for improvement.
And maybe as you reflect on your own language learning, I'd encourage you to sort of become a detective of your own speech.
Ooh, I like that. A speech detective.
Yeah. Pay close attention to those moments when maybe you feel misunderstood or when you hesitate a bit before speaking. Ask yourself, is it a specific sound that's tripping me up? Or is it maybe the rhythm, the emphasis, the stress in my words? Identifying those personal stumbling blocks is the first step.
Right. Know your enemy, so to speak.
Exactly. And then explore resources that are specifically dedicated to accent and pronunciation, covering those tricky sounds and word stress patterns. Something like the Learn and Success episode could be a great starting point. Maybe just pick one tricky sound or one common word stress pattern to really focus on this week.
Small steps.
Small intentional steps. It's all about gaining mastery over the actual building blocks of spoken language, piece by deliberate piece.
That is such a powerful thought to leave everyone with, taking that focused, investigative approach to your own learning. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the vital, vital world of accent and pronunciation.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for listening. Until next time, keep those sounds sharp and make sure that stress lands exactly where it should.